Other whirling winds demand a more lofty vantage point.
Okay, Declan, as we approach the hurricane from the southwest, you can see we're flying with the...
Book a seat on the space shuttle for the perfect view of these monsters, over 500 miles wide and some 10 miles high. Creatures of the sea, they breed in the warm oceans of the tropics. Depending on their birthplace, we call them cyclones, typhoons, or hurricanes. These giants can stir up more than 1 million cubic miles of the Earth's atmosphere every second and travel across an ocean at up to 30 miles an hour. Yet they have humble beginnings. In the summer and fall, the sun heats vast stretches of tropical ocean to over 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm, moist air rises over these hot spots, forming bands of thunderstorms. Upper-level winds push storm systems westward as surface winds spiral into the low pressure beneath the clouds. Occasionally, one such spinning wheel of thunderstorms gathers strength, feeding on moisture and heat. When winds reach 74 miles an hour, a hurricane is born. The storm's architecture is highly organized. Rain bands up to 300 miles long converge in the most violent sector, the eyewall. Here, winds of up to 200 miles an hour spiral upward. Within the eye, downdrafts of dry air create an eerie calm. Most severe tropical storms spin out their lives uneventfully in the open sea. When one threatens to come ashore, the world's eyes are trained upon it, including those of Jim Leonard. A professional storm chaser, Jim checks forecasts religiously. He prowls the globe for weather that most people would simply flee. Among chasers, Jim has few peers. Some say he has videotaped more severe storms than anyone on Earth. He has no formal training, no college degree in meteorology, just a lifelong passion.
15F, you're all set.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When I was 10 years old, I had my first real hurricane experience with Hurricane Donna. We got probably winds of 80, 90 miles an hour. It was quite an exhilarating experience at that point. People think I'm crazy, but that's their own opinion. It's not going to change. I've always been crazy about storms, and I always will be. The best of them all probably was Hurricane Hugo. Went down to Puerto Rico and got a direct hit. And as it got stronger and stronger, debris was starting to be lifted off the parking lot, and it looked like it was going to get blown back toward us. So we decided at that point to start going down the stairway. As we're going down the stairwell, the rain is being driven into the walls, through the stairs, coming down the stairway, and the wind you see up here squealing. At this point, it's probably in excess of 150 miles an hour. And that was quite an experience. It was like one of the chasers called it the hallway from hell. I have no reason to be in a storm if it's going to scare me. I'll, get to the point, play the safe route as far as I can. But if I want to get that ultimate shot, of course you're going to take some chances.
1992, Typhoon Omar in Guam.
Is this a piece of wind or is it a piece of wind?
Yeah, really. I wouldn't miss a great eyewall like this for anything.
Jim and a fellow tracker have a close call as Omar's eyewall comes ashore. Now the storm's placid eye engulfs them.
It seems over, it really does, but it's not. We're going to get
eerie.
blitzed again.
I know.
I can't believe that we're going to get blitzed again. It just seems impossible. That was flabbergasting.
The unsettling lull does not last. Here, the trailing edge of the eyewall rushes in, with winds blowing in the opposite direction.
No, wait, it looked like it was going to wait a few minutes.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't coming on.
Yeah, if I knew it was this, I would have hurried more.
In 1991, Jim achieves a personal best.
Typhoon Uri, when it approached the southern part of Guam, I did a little bit of carelessness there, but I got the storm surge shots that I always wanted to get, but the water came up a little faster than I thought it would.
Winds and low pressure allow the sea surface to rise near the storm's eye. When it hits land, this mound of water rushes ashore.
That's what you call storm surge. Great. We're in. Oh, great.
When the surge is waist deep, Jim retreats. He, more than most, knows that a hurricane's most deadly weapon is not wind, but water. Nine out of 10 hurricane victims are drowned by storm surges. They can raise tides more than 20 feet above normal and flood 100 miles of coastline under 10 feet of water. "50% of the world's population live at risk from severe tropical storms. Atlantic hurricanes assault the US, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Typhoons born over the western Pacific Ocean batter Japan, China, and the Philippines. Most deadly are the cyclones that strike Bangladesh. Here, millions farm a river delta in places only inches above sea level. Escape routes are few. Loss of life has been appalling. In a single 1970 storm, over 300,000 dead. Of all the atmosphere's threats, these giants should hardly catch us off guard. Weather satellites track them from birth. But no technology can predict exactly where one will go. To penetrate the hurricane's secrets, researchers ride a flying laboratory into the eye of the storm.
David?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna go in at 10,000 feet.
At 10, no?
Yeah, we're playing it safe.
Looks impressive anyway. We have about 15 miles to the beginning of the wall here.
External sensors measure temperature, air pressure, humidity, and wind speed as the plane braves the turbulence of the eye wall.
I got 100 knots of wind now.
Yeah, I thought it might drop off when it hit.
Not yet?
Up ahead, it looks like it probably won't. We may see some 200 knot gusts near 25 knot updraft.
Okay, we're just coming into the edge now.
An oasis of calm, over 9 miles tall. The eye is virtually clear from sea to sky.
You guys see a center down below there?
I think we're just about directly over it. Looks good. I think we got the center here.
Okay, I'll mark it.
The eye's exact location and vital statistics are sent to forecasters on shore. Data also flows to this meteorological think tank, the Hurricane Research Division in Miami, Florida. What global ingredients determine how many hurricanes are born each year and what paths they follow? Stanley Goldenberg, research meteorologist, says clues range from the El Niño phenomenon to rainfall in Africa.
No, it's a little bit different scale, but it's still
He crafts computer models based on the premise that an organized piece of weather like a hurricane can be defined in mathematical terms.
The atmosphere is an orderly universe. There's physical rules, physical laws that govern these things. It's just a matter of having the right data, looking at it with the right tools and the right analyses. I mean, the real art is pulling the information out of the data.
Goldenberg helped refine one of the models the National Hurricane Center uses to issue forecasts. But he had never experienced a hurricane on the ground until 1992. On August 17th, Tropical Storm Andrew takes shape, about halfway between Africa and the Caribbean. During the following days, the storm slowly intensifies. Then high-level winds begin to tear Andrew apart, slowing its momentum.
Well, it's the slowest. It's the slowest one. Yeah. But so say 3 days puts it here. Yeah. So by 4 days. 4 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
To Goldenberg and most other meteorologists, Andrew has only the slimmest chance of ever becoming a hurricane.
So we'll see.
Friday, August 21st. As high-level winds die down, Andrew begins to reorganize and quickly gathers strength. Computer models show Andrew might head toward southern Florida, but Goldenberg and his colleagues dismiss any immediate threat. Stan leaves work early to prepare for an important weekend. His wife, Barbara, is due to deliver their 4th child on Sunday. 750 miles from Miami, Andrew's winds exceed 74 miles an hour on Saturday, August 22nd.
Hurricane warnings in effect for Dade and Broward counties, and a hurricane watch is in effect for Collier County.
The first hurricane of the Atlantic season is born. By noon on Sunday, massive evacuations are ordered along the Florida coast. Sunday afternoon, right on schedule, Barbara has been in labor since around 6 a.m.
Well, here we have from the hurricane to the other action in this room, which is Barbara going through early stages of labor, over 4 centimeters contracted, going through labor pains.
In the birthing suite, Stan videotapes the proceedings with all the fervor of an expectant father.
Our nurse here.
Still, the meteorologist in him can't help but be distracted.
And we still have, waiting for the hurricane, beautiful skies, calm. You never know what was going to happen here in the next 12 to 14 hours or so.
Late in the day, Andrew's winds accelerate to 150 miles an hour. Traveling nearly due west, it descends upon the Bahamas. Around 6 p.m., it strikes Eleuthera Island, packing a storm surge 23 feet high, taking 4 lives.
Having a boy makes you feel like a father, and having a girl makes you feel like a daddy, right?
There you go.
Stan steals a few hours with the new arrival, Pearl, then leaves the hospital. He'll ride out the storm at home.
Hurricane to hit Miami.
In Miami, violent skies herald Andrew's approach. Inland, residents take routine safety measures. Seven miles from shore, Stan and his boys are joined by his sister-in-law and family.
Sunday, 23rd of August. We have the family here, Jonathan and Daniel, Roger, Benjamin, Joseph, Aaron, Reuben. We have Ann, and we're going to weather it out through the storm. Hi, Daniel, say hi.
In the dead of night, Andrew suddenly intensifies as it approaches the tip of Florida. August 24th, around 4:30 a.m., Andrew comes ashore.
Looks like our TVs are out. Maybe the power is out now for the duration of this. You can hear that outside. You can start to hear the roar outside. In the hallway of the Goldenberg house, winds outside I think are at least 100, 110 miles an hour or more. Aaron, are you okay? And there's the cat, and here's everybody here just waiting out in the hall because we lost the plywood on the front window, but we are praying God will cover that, and we're just sitting back here resting in the Lord. In the hallway, we can feel our ears constantly pop from the pressure drops. Yes, Jonathan? Lord, we just thank you. We ask your protection. This is Stan at 8:30 in the morning. We have been through a night. This is our street. Trees down everywhere. The big tree, this was a huge tree in front of me, just one window broken on that car. Trees down everywhere. These are our sweet, precious neighbors. These shutters survived the storm. Every window covered with this type of shutter survived. But our house, which had wood shutters, the roof lifted off, and as you can see, we have no house. This wall fell on us, containing the refrigerator, the stove. This is the wall. Fell on top of us. Stove down there, cabinets, all fell on top of us. And that small space you're looking at, the mattress and everything, that's where we were pinned and protected during the worst part of the storm. Benjamin and Joseph.
Incredibly, 3 adults, 6 children, and a kitten emerge unharmed from the wreckage that was Stan's home. The scope of the disaster has not yet dawned on Miami. At the hospital, Barbara rests assured that her family is safe.
We can perhaps get the first look at what's going on up in the air from Sky 4.
The hospital had an emergency generator, so we still had power. And we saw all of the first footage of this destruction and storm, and we were in shock. The first areas they went through, they were kind of relieved, saying, oh, and just making interesting comments about how this car is thrown here and there. But they became much more sober as they went farther south.
This is incredible. It has just flattened this area.
It did not look possible that anybody could be alive. And that was just a mile or 2 from my house. And at that point, I really felt despair.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there must have been about, let's say, counting and trying to estimate at least 300 to 400 mobile homes here. The rest are just completely gone.
In the morning, my wife finally got through to somebody there just to find out I was okay. Somehow we both had a peace that each of us was okay. But I still remember the first time I got through to her on the phone. You know, I just wept. I mean, it wasn't just the excitement of getting through to her, it was me pouring out the emotions of what I had been through. I mean, we'd been through an incredible experience.
Andrew's storm surge wreaked havoc along the Florida coast, but its winds devastated an area larger than the city of Chicago. Some 135,000 dwellings damaged or destroyed. The homeless numbered 160,000. It seemed miraculous only 44 died. Not one official wind gauge survived Andrew's peak winds. No one knew how fast they had gusted. Intrigued, Dr. Ted Fujita, Mr. Tornado, flew to Miami to study the aftermath. Roofs ripped from homes. Trees snapped in half. Concrete beams carried hundreds of feet. Plywood embedded in a tree trunk. Fujita finds evidence of winds up to 200 miles an hour. But his most startling findings come from aerial surveys with local meteorologists. They point out narrow streaks of total devastation near areas with lesser damage. To Fujita, the patterns are eerily familiar.
Straight out that way. See the street? There, right across the lake. And those are the elements.
He develops a theory that the worst damage in Andrew was caused by mini-swirls, tornado-like rotations, brief but violent, embedded in the eyewall. The theory has personal meaning for Stan Goldenberg.
We never expected the kind of damage that we experienced. We had, not only were we in the area of some of the maximum winds of the storm, we had in addition, we believe, an area of more intense winds, probably caused by the mini swirls that Ted Fujita talks about. There was a strip right through my house of homes that were devastated, and I was right in that strip.
Stan would relocate his family to a new house. Parts of Florida remain scarred to this day. Andrew also ravaged the Louisiana coast, taking 17 lives. Finally, the storm would vanish over the mid-Atlantic states some 2 weeks after its birth. Andrew was America's costliest disaster, but it had a silver lining. It spared New Orleans, a city defined by water. Repeatedly flooded and drained over the past 3 centuries, the metropolis was built on swampland surrounded by the Mississippi River. Shaped like a bowl, the city's terrain rises near its edges and dips in its midsection to below sea level. Lake Pontchartrain crowns its northern shore. Over 100 miles of levees and floodwalls up to 20 feet above sea level keep river and lake at bay. Massive floodgates fill the gaps. New Orleans has one of the best drainage systems in the world, powered by 21 colossal pumps. The city has known hurricanes in this century, but not a direct hit from a storm like Andrew, and not with up to 1 million people to evacuate over narrow bridges and causeways. Former meteorologist in charge of the New Orleans National Weather Service office, Bill Crouch, fears the levee system provides a false sense of security.
It's a two-edged sword because it protects the people's homes most of the time. But if water ever comes over the levees, it's going to get as deep as the levees are tall, and the lake would be 19 or 20 feet deep. This means that in parts of New Orleans that are below sea level, the water could be 30 feet deep. That is, you would not be safe even in a 3-story house. So those are the scenarios we look at, which would force people to go upward into the buildings downtown. And even using that refuge, it's my belief there would still be a great loss of life.
One day, 5, perhaps 50 years from now, a hurricane like Andrew might descend on New Orleans. The city might be jammed with tens of thousands of tourists, oblivious to the dangers of hurricanes. Evacuation would be ordered, and many would heed the call. But advanced weather could move in quickly and flood the causeway, knocking out bridges. A hurricane approaching from the southeast could fill Lake Pontchartrain with its storm surge. Water would rush over hurricane protection levees. Pumping stations would be overwhelmed. This grim scenario may be imaginary, but the threat is not. 100,000 might be stranded in the heart of the city. The City of New Orleans has enlisted federal, state, and local emergency management agencies to prepare for just such a nightmare. There are many other potential disasters along the U.S. coastline. It is only a matter of time before another great storm exacts its toll. Nature has given us fair warning.